Let's put this all into perspective here real quick. The Disney Store, who had seemingly been winding down their Cars line for years, to the point where it looked like it was going to be canceled, where we wouldn't see anything from them at all. I mean, over the last few years, we've gotten a few re-released Cars Toon multi-packs, their Cars on the Road items a couple years ago, and that was it until this year. They took a look at Mattel. They took one look at Mattel and what they were doing and was like, hold my beer. What Mattel's doing, it's so mediocre. Race and Rescue, barely anything new from the movies themselves, barely anything from Cars on the Road, nothing that gets the fans going crazy. And they're like, all we gotta do is put out a couple holiday multi-packs. They're gonna love us again. And that's exactly what they did. Remember, last month we reviewed their Halloween pack, which in my opinion is the best thing Cars related all year. I don't think that this holiday, this Christmas pack is quite as good because we've seen similar Cars before. We have a decked out Doc Hudson. We have a very similar, albeit a little different Ramone. Same thing with Mater. And the McQueen's really the pride and joy of this multi-pack because he is so different from any Christmas holiday McQueen any company has done before besides Hallmark. We'll talk about that later. This is crazy. This is wild. The Disney Store is back. Mattel is fading into oblivion. Maybe not. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I have not been impressed with what Mattel has done over the last 2 years. I think they're tremendously underutilizing their potential with the Cars line, whereas the Disney Store comes out of nowhere here, releases a Halloween multi-pack and a Christmas multi-pack, both of which are incredible. All right, let's dive in. This multi-pack is available for about, I think it was 20 to 30 bucks on Disney Store's own website. I think it's actually like 35, which might be a little steep. I need to look at it again. Obviously, it's going to vary between, what country, what currency you're working with, but I think it's affordable for 4 really nice looking cars here. Now, I wish the packaging looked a little bit better. It's a very standard Cars on the Road themed package with Cars on the Road Road Trip McQueen, and you have Mater over there. They just call it Cars Holiday 4-pack. They don't want to specify it's Christmas. They want to be very inclusive of all holidays. I understand that. Yeah, they went very bare bones with the packaging, but they soaked all of their resources into the cars themselves. I mean, like I pointed out with the Halloween pack, somebody just photographed these cars in their basement, uploaded the images to their computer, ran them through remove.bg to take out the backgrounds, added a drop shadow, and plopped them on the back of this blue trapezoid. I mean, I could have done this in Microsoft Word. It looks very much so fan edit, fan made, which is totally fine. I mean, again, it doesn't matter. Lightning McQueen, Ramone, Doc Hudson, congrats. You spelled them all properly. They look fine. And let's get into it here. Before we open them up, though, I do want to show you something that is related to Mater here and kind of the Disney Store, the Disney parks and the Disney Store operate a lot more closely together than Mattel and the Disney parks do. And obviously Mattel doesn't mingle really with the Disney Store at all. But, a couple years ago, the Disney parks started doing Mater popcorn buckets. This is actually the first year where they haven't done a Mater popcorn bucket. The first year, it was regular Mater. The second year, it was this Christmas Santa Mater. So it's funny that they didn't just directly translate this to the die-cast. You'll see that this Mater has the Santa hat. Obviously, he's got a lot more snow on him and on the tires than we'll find on the die-cast. But the wreath here on the tow hook is very similar to what I think we're going to see on the die-cast. Now, I don't think it has the jumper cords attached here, and we'll see what else is different. But, he's got the wreath on the tow hook, and that's pretty much what's important. And then to just finish that thought, last year they did Dracula Mater in popcorn bucket form, who was in that Halloween 4-pack. So we know, again, they operate close together. But they decided to opt for Reindeer Mater here. All right, now, I don't have anything else to say. Let's tear into this, guys. Let's tear it open. Wow, these guys look phenomenal out of the package. And now there is just so much to discuss today. It's absolutely insane. Like, I don't think a lot of people know this, but the Disney Store has done holiday Christmas releases in the past, and they're pretty awesome too, right? Not sure which set of McQueen and Mater will end up being better. We're going to determine that by the end of the video, but let's start with decked out Doc Hudson, because he's actually going to be the easiest to review. Not like I just want to take a look at him and get over with it, but because he is the least different from anything else we've seen, we should be able to, wrap our heads around it. There's not much else we need to really loop in to do this little review for Mr. Doc Hudson. Now, this is the first time that the Disney Store has ever done decked out Doc Hudson, but they pretty much followed the formula that Mattel has done, for the last 15 years, ever since he was originally released in 2010. And that is, you get the wreath on the grill, you get the Santa hat, and you get the red wheels. Now, they didn't fully go for the white walls. They had a little white trim there, but they kept them mostly just, the normal black walls. And I'm fine with that. Again, it makes for a little difference and a reason to get this and not necessarily, just be like, hey, I already got that from Mattel. No need to rebuy it. No, this one's a little different. Obviously, I think the expression's really good. You got more room to work with. The Disney Store releases their stuff in 143 scale versus Mattel's 155 scale. And so therefore, you have a little bit more surface area to get in, with details like here in the grill. You could see the blackness, and it's not just all chrome, which we know if we saw a Hudson Hornet in real life, it wouldn't just be blinding chrome. No, you would see the gaps in there where, it actually leads back into the engine. So I appreciate that. They didn't give him kind of the metallic sparkly blue that Mattel did here, at least in, I think this is one of the more, I don't know, is this my original one? Yeah, this is my original one. That's crazy. Made in China. You can see the date stamp there. Made on the 245th day in 2009. So yeah, they have been giving decked out Doc kind of like a sparkly Spectraflame paint almost. The Disney Store just opted for a flat, regular blue. You gotta love those big blue eyes too. You can see the wreath is a little different. I like that they made it, again, more realistic. It's textured. It's got the hole in the center, which makes it a wreath and not just a bushel of leaves. And the ribbon isn't quite as big and obnoxious. So, I am big on the Disney Store right now. You gotta give them credit where credit is due. All of these have rubber tires, by the way, which is just insane. They are not pullbacks, which is what the Disney Store has been releasing ever since like 2019. You could tell they're rubber tires by the fact that they're collecting the grain in my table mat here. These are made in Vietnam, if you were curious. You can see those big holes are from the connectors to the packaging, which on this package in particular, some of them were really tight up against the cardboard, so I had to sometimes use a tool to prop it open or push the cardboard back so I could get my fingernail underneath the black piece, but still overall pretty easy. Now again, you could see more detailing here on the Disney Store version that the Mattel team just was like, you know what, nah. They're like, Doc doesn't need no license plate, but here you could see full license plate. You have the stickers in the left and right. Carburetor County, 51 HHMD. You gotta love that. Like, that's pretty cool that they are able to include that there. You also have the red Hudson tag and the Hornet tag on the trunk features there, which are absent on Mattel's version. So really nice. I mean, the license plate is the biggest addition here because that's something that they just don't include on any Doc Hudson. It's not just the Christmas one. Now, time for the hat. The hat is way taller. They're like, give him a big boy Santa hat. It does seem like it's a little too tall, maybe not quite wide enough. Like, there's a lot of surface area along the edges here that I feel like could be engulfed in like the fur of the hat, which I think Mattel did a pretty good job with. But then you could also argue Mattel's hat now looks too droopy. Like, I mean, honestly, from this angle, it looks flat as a pancake. I do love how they texturize the white portions, the ball, and the fuzz around. Like, I've always liked that, but honestly, looking at it now, it does look very droopy, very flat, lifeless. This is a perky hat here if we've ever seen one. I'm not sure if I like the texture as much, but I mean, the ball is still texturized quite nicely. just two different interpretations of it. I really think this is a great release at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, the Disney Store certainly has their own take on Decked Out Doc. And I'm a fan of it. I like it a lot. All right, moving on from Mr. Doc Hudson, it's Ramone here. Now, at first glance, you might also think it's pretty much the same as the Mattel version. And then, as I'm showing you now, you're like, oh, shoot. Not at all. It's a brand new paint job. Just happens to be in the same two colors, which makes sense because it's the Christmas colors. So I love that. I do think it would have been maybe cool if they inverted them just so it looks a little more different from Christmas Cruiser Ramone here. Like make the main color in the body red and then make the flames green. You could leave those ones white. I think that would look awesome. Like amazing. But this is the direction that they went here. Now, there is no artwork for this new version of Ramone that I can find. Now, we're going to talk heavily about artwork because it's not like these designs for McQueen and Mater, at least for them, just boop, popped out of thin air. The Disney Store workers, the design team was just like, yes, like let's just put it into action. Like they just didn't spawn it in out of their brains, right? There had been pre-existing content and media that set the precedent for these releases to happen, right? Now for Ramone, it does kind of seem like they just spawned it in. However, it also could be argued that's just regular purple Ramone, just with the flames colorized, the body colorized differently. So I think that's how this was able to be made without there being that pre-existing artwork. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't care about that, but for me and a lot of other people, it is a conversation we like to have because it's always cool to see like an animated version of some of these paint jobs, which we will have for McQueen and Mater. Now, the flames are like a matte finish, which is interesting, on top of kind of a sparkly green paint. So Doc didn't get the sparkly treatment, but Ramone did here. I'm not as big of a fan of Ramone's expression. I mean, there's not much you could do with Ramone. It's a tough car to give a good expression to. I would love to see Ramone looking off to the side, like eyes fully over here one day. But, Mattel's only kind of tipped their toes in that with just a little slight twist on the eyes there. You do have the rubber tires again. You can see that they are, the silver with the gold in the center there. I love the flames here. My only gripe about it is that you could tell that the flame decal, like you could see where it's kind of cut and how it was applied here. I am not a fan. I don't like this white should just seamlessly fade into the red, but you could tell how perfectly this decal was applied, and it's just it's too perfect, right? It's too unnatural. You could see the line there where the brighter shade of red meets the shade of red on the body. You could see that it's like raised, it's a sticker almost. So I don't really like that situation there. I think that looks a little sloppy. It just doesn't, seamlessly flow together. But, once you get here, it looks really cool with the mix of the three colors and almost like a snowy trail within the blood. No, I'm not saying blood, just kidding. Oh man, I'm sorry. Just kidding, guys. No blood. It's Christmas. They gave him the little pinstripe decal on the back here that regular Ramone has. Do have the license plate here, so also Carburetor County, low and slow. Looks like December in the top left is the expiration, which is very fitting for the holidays. Holidays are right around the corner, guys. I know it seems like they're still a ways out, but they are coming. Halloween will be here before we know it. And right after that, it's, Thanksgiving and Christmas, which, can all be lumped together as the collective holiday season. You can also see this little decal here on the back. That's pretty cool. It's like a little feather almost. But yeah, I really like this design. Not going to fully say it's better than the Christmas Cruiser design with the wrapping and the ribbons and all that, which is creative. But it's definitely new. It's refreshing. We've seen this design for years. Mattel put out a Thailand variant of it in 2021. So we've seen it recently. Mattel did do that blue Christmas version, which was cool and all that, but I am impressed at Disney Store's ingenuity to go ahead and just make a completely new design. for all intents and purposes. All right, let's get on the Mater here now. I will try and find some artwork that somewhat matches this, but the only thing, like the best match I could find is with his Weehoo Winter Mater hat, which Weehoo Winter Mater is over here. There he is. Yeah, so you can see this is like the green hat that he sports sometimes. Only like in the peripheral season, you know, maybe like late November, early December, he's rocking the Weehoo Winter Mater. But you get to mid-December, get a little closer to Christmas, he's pulling out the reindeer hat, right? You know, that's when you know it's serious. Like, oh, what the hell, guys? Mater's got the reindeer hat on. Gotta make sure I have all my gifts in line because Christmas is almost here. So yes, that's how we know. That's how we tell time in Radiator Springs based on what hat Mater is wearing. If he's dressed up as Dracula, I think we also kind of know what the deal is there. But yes, the artwork that I can find where he has the wreath as well as a hat is only Weehoo Winter Mater. So it's interesting, again, that the Disney Store looked at that. They're like, yeah, we don't really want to do that. Give him the reindeer hat. And so that's how this spawned in. Now you might contend, well, it's because they already did a reindeer hat, so they just reused the mold. Well, that argument falls flat when you realize that it's a completely different mold. It's a completely different shape of hat. It's actually pretty crazy that they reworked it. They made it bigger. They made it more realistic. They got the elastic band here. It's all texturized. This is texturized differently than this, which is different than this, which is different than the antlers. It's pretty awesome. Now, he has zero snow detailing, which is a little alarming to me. And we all know the Disney Store has struggled to get Mater's like rust coloring. And, you know, that has not changed at all. They, you know, just pretty much apply a poo brown and then it's just like willy-nilly, you know, on the quote-unquote rust. I don't know what this is. It's definitely not snow. I mean, maybe you could argue it's snow. Maybe you could, but I don't know. I mean, you would think you would have some on his tires. You think you would have some. I mean, I guess they are going for this to be snow. It's got to be, based on that front bumper there. I'm not a big fan of how it turned out. And yeah, the poo brown, it's just so, it's not rust, right? You know, and I think Mattel is just, not Mattel. Mattel has excelled. Like, they got Mater's aesthetic down perfectly, down to a science. Like, this looks great on the sides here. It's something that we take for granted because Mattel has done it perfectly since day one in 2006, and they've never faltered. The Disney Store, however, from day one has always struggled, and here we are in 2025, almost 20 years later. But that being said, everything else about him I think is awesome. I like the expression a lot. The side view mirrors might be a little too big, but the hat is beautiful. Like, just look at the texturing on that. Like, it's plastic, I know, but it's so cool. It's different than the one we got before. Now, by the way, I will talk about those two Disney Store releases because I'm sure a lot of people are like, when were those released? How were they released? We'll chat about that momentarily. And if you think Mattel puts a lot of gobbledygook on their bases, just look at what the Disney Store is putting on their base. I mean, what is that monstrous code? It was made on the 1 trillionth day of the year 3000. I don't know, guys. I'm not going to make an attempt at that. I'm sure it means something, but there's no way I'm deciphering that. All right, moving toward the back here, you also have the towing cables, which are textured. You could, you know, run your finger and feel the slits, which is really cool. I feel like the Disney Store has done this a couple times, but the floor here being a perfectly clean, unrusted sheet metal. Really? I don't know about that. Doesn't fit the vibe of the rust at all. But then again, doesn't really look like rust either. And again, you have the perfectly clean yellow and black tape here. Even their previous version, they did a little bit better job mucking it up. I mean, that license plate is just perfectly clear. Yeah, I don't know. The Disney Store, they always just, Mater is just a little bit of a weakness for them. But then you have the wreath here, which flows nicely. I love how they kind of kept it consistent with Doc's wreath. It's just a little bit bigger. It's got the same kind of bow, same texturized. It's like a donut, you know, so it's got the hole there. I really like that. I like that consistency. They both are shopping at the same farm or nursery where they got the wreaths. Pretty cool. I do appreciate that. So yeah, there you have Mater. Couple other comparison points I want to share with you. Here is Mattel's Reindeer Mater. Now, Mattel has always made Mater in terms of the holiday Maters like a monster truck. They elevate them and give them the big tires, which is pretty cool. I've liked that. I appreciate that. But when the Disney stores come around and not done that, like I said before with Ramone, it keeps things fresh and interesting. I still contend that this is one of Mattel's best releases. I love the tires. They are rubber as well. The hat looks really good. You have the snow detailing on the hat, like really perfectly placed, like right where snow would collect around his bumper and the fenders there. It is a great release. The Disney store here, probably not quite as good, but the addition of the wreath is really cool. Okay. Oh, here's a cool ornament I have, by the way, as well. I only brought this out because, well, he's got a light bulb, a green light bulb attached to his hook. And he's got a different looking reindeer hat, felt antlers. That's something that's very cool. But the McQueen that was released alongside this is going to come into play here in about 30 seconds when I show you guys the best release from the 4-pack, the best car. And that is what a lot of people are deeming Cars 2 Holiday Lightning McQueen, because he is in his World Grand Prix body, as denoted with the elevated wing there and the different Lightyear, well, not the different Lightyear tires, the different wheels, the silver with the red trim. Very cool. I can't believe they just pulled this out of their butts, out of the blue. Cars 2 Lightning McQueen in his holiday paint job. There is very much so precedent for this, though. There is artwork that I will show you there. It might not be in the best quality, and that is just why this is that much more surprising, because it's not like this is the McQueen that we always get on holiday promotional artwork. No, this is like you have to dig through like Russian websites in the dark web just to find an image of this. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. There's a Hallmark ornament that's similar but has a Rust-eze logo there on the hood and a couple other differences. This is textbook Cars 2 Holiday Lightning McQueen that we've seen in some of this promotional wintry artwork. Again, I know a lot of people don't care about this. It's something that I definitely do care about, though. And here is that ornament I was referring to. Again, not quite the same. But whenever McQueen is wearing a Santa hat, we have to kind of raise our eyebrows and, try and pull a connection there. When he's got the green bolt, that is, similar to Holiday Hotshot Lightning McQueen. But with the Santa hat, though, it delineates it. Holiday Hotshot McQueen does not include any form of a Santa hat in all of its iterations, which we'll go through here also soon. Yeah, so the Disney Store is competing right now with Mattel's Holiday Pack that they debuted on Amazon in August. And it's a pretty easy dub for the Disney Store. Even though Mattel's is a 5-pack, it's cheaper. It's pretty bad. They said that there was a brand new exclusive Lightning McQueen in it. Yeah, it's just Holiday Hotshot Lightning McQueen with an open mouth and black teeth. To go through the quick history of Holiday Hotshot Lightning McQueen, we got this version here, very standard from China, mouth plate, fine, whatever, nice expression. They also gave us Snowplow Lightning McQueen, which is about the same thing, but with off-road tires, a roof rack of lights, and a shovel or a plow. Snowplow, to be specific. Then, in 2021, they gave us this Thailand version with nice shinier paints and eye plate. No mouth plate now. And then, this year, they gave us this version. First time that he's had an open mouth, but the expression is pretty much the same. This one is made in Vietnam now, so we have a Holiday Hotshot McQueen from every country. And yeah, you could pretty much just denote this as a Vietnam variant, not necessarily like an intentional exclusive, but I guess technically with the open mouth, it's different. Oh, and there's also a factory custom of Holiday Hotshot Lightning McQueen where he has the open mouth as well. And you could argue that this is the best Holiday Hotshot Lightning McQueen. He's got these fat white wall tires and metallic red wheels with silver trim in the center. That's pretty cool. I mean, these are not bad, but this is pretty nice too. I would argue that this factory custom is better than the one we just got in the Vietnam pack. I think the eyes look better, that's for sure. Yeah, it's not great when you're saying that a bootlegged fake car is better than all the real ones from Mattel. And then the Disney Store comes along and just blows everyone out of the park with this beautiful Cars 2. Let's just call it Cars 2 Holiday Hotshot McQueen. I don't know. I wish Mattel would give us more specific names for this stuff because it's getting very hard like to search for stuff on eBay to buy because Mattel just calls Flow, but it actually has a tray. So it's different from Flow. Oh, so frustrating. Anyways, guys, yes. Beautiful expression. Looking off to his side. You have the wheels like we already looked at. You have the green bolt on the side, but it's not stylized to look like a Christmas tree, which I would argue that the Holiday Hotshot version, that's what it was going for. This is much more similar to just like a regular Bolt Lightning McQueen. It's just green. You have the darker flames in the background, and it bleeds all the way up onto the wing there, which I find really cool. He's got pretty much the same Santa hat that Doc does, which I think if you think about it, if you try, and be emotional about it, you can get kind of sad about it. Like McQueen, he started wearing the Santa hat because Doc passed away. You could kind of canonize it that way. It's like Doc, for Christmas of 2007, or you could say 2006 as well. 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 10, they celebrate Christmas. Doc always wore his little hat. He passed away in 2010 or 11. Then, Cars 2 comes along. McQueen gets the big wing there. And now he starts wearing Doc's old Santa hat. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm just in my feels right now. That's what I'm going to headcanon. And yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely the same hat. I don't know. The one on Doc looks a little bit bigger. This one fits McQueen's roof a little bit better. But it's really cool to see both of them now in Santa hats because that's just not something that we had seen before. They're twinning now. I love it. All right, guys. That's pretty much all I have for you. That was a lot of information, I know. But I wanted to be thorough, cover all my bases. One base I didn't cover is that this McQueen actually appears in Cars Fast as Lightning when they had the winter update. Don't believe it had the Santa hat, though, but it was the same in every other way. Yeah. Never thought we'd get the Cars 2 Holiday McQueen, and certainly didn't think it was going to come from the Disney Store. But now, kind of opens the door for Mattel to do it. You know what would have been perfect? Oh, yeah, if they released it in that multi-pack they just did. But, yeah. It's like the gods gave out an assignment in school. Make a cool Cars holiday pack. That's it. They don't specify how many cars need to be in the holiday pack. They just tell you make a cool holiday pack, right? Mattel makes theirs. The Disney Store makes theirs. Mattel's feeling all good. We included some cool accessories of a gift and a Christmas tree of orange plastic glitter that we already did at a Mini Racers Advent Calendar. They're gonna love it. Oh, and an exclusive Lightning McQueen, but it has an open mouth now. The Disney Store was like, we're just gonna make something like genuinely like nice, like put some effort into it. And this is what popped out. Yeah, the Disney Store gets an A. I'm not going to go full A+. Mattel gets a D-, and that's being generous. So yes, anyways, getting back to what we have here in terms of the comparison, the Disney Store back in the early 2010s released a 2-pack internationally only, sadly. The 2-packs for the Disney Store, mainly just like a European thing, and Mexican, I think. Some of them were available like JCPenney within the States. Very obscure. I know, very obscure. But the McQueen and Mater, the holiday versions here, was one of those 2-packs. Extremely rare. I'm very fortunate to have these in my collection. You could see another very great attempt at an exclusive McQueen here. This is like the snowplow version, but without the snowplow. Because he does have, the treaded tires, the tread off-road tires. He's got the roof rack and the lights and all that stuff. This one's really nice. I like the snow detailing and all of that. I think I do like the new McQueen here from Cars 2 a little bit better, just because it's a little bit more unique. But this was another, again, banger release from the Disney Store. I'm glad they're getting back to that. And then in terms of the Maters, I'm not really sure who I would prefer here. I think the expression on this Mater is really gross. The mouth is open, like way too big. The eyes are It's kind of spooky. The hat, yeah, it's fine. I just like the snow detailing a little bit more. I like the tires a little bit more. But you can see how much they've kind of changed Mater over the years. See, these wires never used to be texturized. Now they are. Now he's got the wreath. Just some major structural differences. The side view mirrors are different. All that stuff. Long video, I know, but there's a lot to cover here, guys. And now the question is for you. Which car from this holiday pack is your favorite? If it is McQueen, that's cheating because obviously. So tell me who is your second favorite because I think that's where it gets a little nebulous. For me, I'm going to say it's Ramone. I think Ramone's my second favorite, then Mater, followed by Doc. And that's not saying anything bad about Doc. I think Doc's awesome too. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. If you're watching this during the holidays, happy holidays. If you're watching this during September when I upload it, happy Mexican Independence Day, I guess. Bye now.